On April 7th, a masked gunman abducted Jesuit Father Franz van der Loot in the early morning from his Jesuit house in Homs, where about 24 Christians had taken refuge. The man took him out in the street and shot him twice in the head. The 75-year-old Dutch Jesuit had been a missionary in Syria for 50 years. He had been offered safe passage out of the country during the ceasefire only 2 months prior, and when asked why he denied free passage, he said, "It is impossible for me to leave. If the Syrian people are going to suffer, I too will share their pain." On another front, Salem Matty Georges, a 43-year-old Christian man hiding in his house for 3 weeks, eventually needed food. He was caught by ISIS as he went out into the streets and absolutely refused to convert. He was tortured until he bled to death. There were over 1,200 Christian martyrs in Syria in 2013. Where is God in all of this? Why does he remain absent as his sons and daughters are tortured and murdered? Today's gospel speaks into God's mysterious absence. The landowner in the parable builds a beautiful vineyard, leases it to tenants, and goes on a journey. Why does the owner of the vineyard leave? Any good entrepreneur knows his business will not be as efficient if he does not regulate. And it is clear the owner has invested an incredible amount in his vineyard. He planted the vineyard, set a hedge, dug a press, and built the tower. The landowner's going into another land is the hinge of the story. It generates a dilemma in the hearts of the tenants and reveals their true motives. Will they prove worthy of the landowner's trust, or will they show themselves to be wicked? Well, when the first servants come, they beat them and murder them. Yet the landowner exhibits no retaliation. Instead, he sends more of his trusted servants, and finally sends his son, for surely they will respect my son. Their hearts were hardened even further. They saw not his son, but his heir, from whom they could procure an inheritance. The intensity of their sin had darkened their intellect, because it's stupid and unreasonable to believe that you will be given an inheritance of the son that you murder. Out of the abundance of their hearts, the tenants' mouths speak. They speak murder and greed. Yet it was precisely through the landowner's hiddenness that the intentions of the wicked tenants' hearts were revealed. Christ speaks this parable to the leaders of Israel, for they are the tenants, and they have rejected him, the Son. He is convicting them that he may pierce their hard hearts and show them their pride. Nevertheless, it says in verse 45, when they perceived he was speaking to them, they wanted to destroy him. So he tells them the kingdom of God will be taken from them and given to one who will bear fruit. In the Acts of the Apostles, when Peter and John heal the crippled man, they are brought before the elders and asked from what power they had healed him. Peter quotes the same psalm that Christ quotes in this gospel, saying, "This is the stone which was rejected by you builders, but which has become the cornerstone." Seeing the man standing beside them healed, they had nothing to say, because in that moment, the leaders of Israel remembered Jesus' parable, telling them the kingdom of God would be given to one who would bear fruit. And they saw the fruit of God's kingdom standing right there beside Peter and John. This gospel parable shows us two things. First, how relentless God's pursuit of our love is. He was still pursuing the leaders of Israel even after his resurrection. As they saw the fruit, he wanted them to see the fruit of his kingdom. And how incredible his mercy is upon us. I, as a priest, ought to tremble when I read this gospel. But as baptized Christians, we all are tenants of God's new vineyard. God is searching for any way possible to bestow upon us his grace and mercy, that we can be holy as he is holy, and produce fruit for his kingdom. Yet he works in a hidden way, for it is only in God's hiddenness that we are able to grow into our divine vocation to be Christ's presence in the world. The Father, in his mysterious plan, has deemed that we participate in a real way in the salvation of souls. What a marvelous privilege he has bestowed upon us. When lost souls search for Jesus Christ, all they see is Christians. Thus, if we do not see with the eyes of Christ, if we are not intimately united to his will, these lost souls will not see Christ in us. They will see wicked tenants. So we must drench our actions in prayer, constantly be at work in the vineyard, searching out the fruit to bring to the Lord. He tells us the harvest is bountiful. There's low-hanging fruit all around us. Because we all know this culture does not satisfy. Brothers and sisters, Today in this Mass, we receive Christ into our hearts in the Eucharist. We must be transfigured into him. Go out and be Christ to lost souls in the world. Where is God in Father Vanderlut's or Salem Georgia's death? He is imminently present, even visibly present in them, in their fortitude and in their love and their sacrifice. Those searching for Jesus Christ who look to their witness see Christ on the cross crucified for love of them. For the very stone which the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. This is marvelous in our eyes.